Thanks for watching Fight Back Podcast. If you like the show, like, subscribe, or share the video. There's also donation links in the descriptions. Hey guys, Jake Schultz here. Today we're focusing on the shady history of Rabbi Shmuley and how a Jewish political insider is hiding in plain sight.
So in our 20s, Shmuley, we would argue like crazy. He told me it's the Jewish way. And we would sit at Shabbat tables and discuss issues of the day. We would discuss the issues of importance to students. We would discuss everything, quite bluntly, from sex and relationships all the way to current events.
Well, with sex, you taught me everything I know. Which is why I wrote Kosher Sex later.
Well, that's the funny thing about it is we argued over kosher sex. Now, I warn you all, strongly warn you all, that if you have a friend that is an author, do not tell them your personal stories. Because if you read Shmuley's books now, of course he respects my identity and obscures it. He says, I have a friend named Cornelius, who is the mayor of Newark, Delaware. It's not you, Corey, I swear.
Today, we're going to get to the bottom of those lost libidos and tell you how to have more sex in your life with the help of TLC's Shalom in the Home, Rabbi Shmuley Botayak.
We're going to put those skills to the test today, because Ali's going to be the first one up that mountain. Your husband's life is going to be in your hands, literally. This is it. And if you guys work together with confidence, then Delora, who looks a bit frightened right now, will see that Mommy and Daddy are confident, they love each other. There's no place to fear when Mommy and Daddy are close and working together.
Oprah's called him America's rabbi, and he's been everywhere. The head rabbi of Oxford University, the elite halls of Congress, and Michael Jackson's inner circle.
Shmuley, you have a number of books that you have written. You've been an author. You are the founder of the Oxford L'Chaim Society. You were in Oxford for many years. And now you are a pop author for the most part. You've become popular. You're well known in the whole United States. You do book signings in major bookstores. How did you go from being an Orthodox rabbi, a shaliach, a messenger of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, to someone who became a popular author and someone whose books are now sold in every major bookstore in the country?
Well, I wouldn't say that I went from being an Orthodox rabbi to...
Well, when I say that, you're right, not from, but I say, how did you include that in your path?
Well, the ancient biblical prophecy was that the Jews would serve as light unto the nations. Now, clearly that means that we have values and we have teachings which are valuable to the entire world and not just to our community. So in my years at Oxford, we always had many non-Jewish students who attended our events. The L'Chaim Society was distinguished for perhaps at times even having more non-Jewish members than Jewish members, and that was something we were very proud of. To us, that didn't lead to assimilation. On the contrary, it led to principled integration of two communities who both serve God in different ways, but for whom the Jews could really bring... I mean, my dream was to try to bring Jewish spirituality to a much wider audience, and the books are just an outgrowth of that philosophy. So I did it in terms of activism and programming, and now in terms of writings as well. By the way, I wish they were as successful and as pervasive as you say, and may it be so, but not quite.
God willing, even more successful in the future. But I think that a lot of people know you. They see you on TV. They see you in the news. As of late, your newsreels with Michael Jackson and your foundation that you're working on together. Can you tell us a little about that? Tell me, how did you and Michael Jackson first meet each other? Was he, you didn't go to one of his concerts and run into him and meet him. What was your first introduction?
Well, I wish that I would have attended one of his concerts because I was always a great fan of his talent. I mean, he's a phenomenal singer and dancer. Yes. But we actually met through our mutual friend Uri Geller, the famous paranormalist and psychic with whom I've written a book called The Psychic and the Rabbi. So Uri called me up about 2 years ago, and he said to me, I was visiting New York from England at the time, and he said, Michael Jackson's in New York. Would you like to meet him? And I said, well, if you really twist my arm, if you really put the pressure on me, I'll try to accommodate it within my schedule. So obviously I was thrilled to meet him, and we had a meeting at his townhouse that he was renting at the time, and surprisingly our friendship took off. We just felt we had a lot in common, and we enjoyed each other's conversation and company, and
Very nice.
it went from there.
Did you and he ever discuss the accusations that were made upon him and before you got involved in the society that you've formed together and that you're running? Did you discuss those problems and how to deal with them as they're brought to your attention?
Well, there's little that we haven't discussed. I mean, like any two friends, all kinds of subjects come up. I wouldn't say that we discussed how to deal with them because Michael's been dealing with it ever since it happened. I mean, I just tried to look at the facts. A man is innocent until proven guilty.
Absolutely.
Only one child ever made the accusation against Michael, even though he's around hundreds and thousands of children. And clearly, most experts are of the opinion that pedophiles are repeat offenders. So you would expect that if Michael was guilty of these charges, there would have been a whole slew of children that would have come forward to claim some pot of gold. But they didn't, and to me that is a phenomenal sign of innocence.
He's been photographed with numerous world leaders like Benjamin Netanyahu, Ted Cruz, RFK Jr., and even the Dalai Lama, all while avoiding serious allegations like family arms dealing, tax dodging, and public feuds with Candace Owens.
Oh, here, let's... This is a historic discussion. Historic not only because it brings together two of the foremost personalities in our nation and indeed the world, but because the privilege of hearing Nobel Peace Laureate Elie Wiesel on any occasion is itself historic. My friends, Elie Wiesel is the living face of the 6 million murdered victims of the Holocaust. He is a living conscience of mankind. One of the most respected human beings alive, he brings a moral authority on issues that he addresses that is utterly unmatched. I am personally grateful for the 25 years of friendship and mentorship that he has given me amidst my many flaws and foibles, Rebbe Eliezer, and for always rising to the occasion when the Jewish people find themselves in danger.
It started with a hug, but then the 87-year-old Dalai Lama asked this boy to kiss him on the lips and then suck his tongue. The video was taken in February in India, but it only surfaced recently and touched off a social media controversy.
Why is he making this kid kiss him on the lips? And why are people clapping?
If that was anyone else, if that was just a general member of the public, not some icon, you'd get nicked for that, wouldn't you?
In a statement, the spiritual leader's team says, His Holiness often teases people he meets in an innocent and playful way, even in public and before cameras. He regrets the incident. Still, child advocates have concerns.
For the sake of the house of God, I will seek only good. think our future, I believe, much more hopeful. In the meantime, it's much depend on our own effort with determination, or more, optimistic attitude. That's important.
How does a kid from a broken home in LA go to head rabbi of Oxford University at just 22 years old to rubbing shoulders with the world elites? And also, why is he tied in with so many scandals?
What made you you? Your father, your parents, your upbringing. Where do you come from as a person, first of all?
Well, I'm a Jewish American. I was born in Los Angeles. My parents divorced when I was a young boy, 8. That famously had a very painful impact on my life. It's funny because divorce today is so commonplace. People don't think twice about it, but I did. It bothered me tremendously. My mother moved us to Miami, where her parents were, so I was raised in Miami. But that's what got me writing books about relationships, because by the time I came to become the rabbi at Oxford University in November 1988, the students were having terrible relationships, meaningless hookups. Sex was not something, it was recreational, but it caused a lot of pain, breakups, etc. But I was always thinking about how to keep two people together, because that was instilled into my childhood, what happened with my parents' marriage. And it's still something that, occupies my mind a great deal.
At the age of 9 years old, Rabbi Shmuley started study under Chabad Lubavitch. By 13, he was personally tutored by the head Rebbe. By 22, he was appointed the head of Oxford University.
But at the age of about 8 or 9, I started going to Chabad camp. I became very influenced by Chabad. I think if I want to look at it honestly, the young Chabad rabbinical students were even almost like father figures to me. My counselors started studying at yeshivas, because my father was in LA and we were in Miami. And this was not, now we all use planes like taxis. That was not the case back then. So I saw my father, many times a year, but certainly not enough.
Can I just pause you? Can you just tell? You mind just telling me?
Chabad became a very big impact on my life. Yeah,
sure. I'm just interested to hear more about your father, because as I understand it, he was of Persian origin. Is that correct?
My father was born in Esfahan, Iran. My grandfather had 13 children, thank God. He was a very passionate Zionist.
Right.
And he wanted to move to Israel. So they moved in the early 1950s. And my parents met. My mother was an American Jew from New York, and she went on a trip, and she asked a handsome young Israeli where she could buy the best falafel. That was my father. So they married, and they lived in Israel, actually. But then my mother, a New Yorker, as my grandfather needed more help with, business, things like that. My parents moved to the U.S. and it was supposed to be temporary, but they ended up moving to Los Angeles, and that's where, I was born. My father instilled in me a phenomenal love of Israel. But my customs, of course, were all Chabad, because I met the Rebbe when I was about 10, and he became my Rebbe. And so I live a Chabad life, and all my customs are Chabad.
And can you just talk a little bit about what the Rebbe was like as a person, what it was like meeting him, and what you remember of him?
Oh, yeah. Well, I had the great privilege of really kind of getting to know the Rebbe as much as a chassid could know the Rebbe. The Rebbe had tens of thousands of chassidim around the world. But at my bar mitzvah, I got a private audience with the Rebbe. I actually discussed this audience once on the BBC when I lived in England. And I remember they told me it was one of the longest segments in any documentary. It was on Panorama, because they didn't cut it. But basically, the story is that I went into the Rebbe, and it was 3:00 in the morning. And they had to put a hat on me, and I was swimming in the hat. It was too big. They just shoved someone's hat on me, and they had to put a jacket on me, and I was swimming in a jacket as well. It was 3:00 in the morning. And the Rebbe asked me when my bar mitzvah was, and I told him. And then I gave him the letter that you're supposed to give him, and he took out a little pencil and began to circle things. And in the letter I wrote that I had become very cynical about life, even at 13, because my parents divorced. If the people who brought you into this world suddenly fragment, and if their union dissolves, what does that mean about your entire existence? Is it a mistake? So the Rebbe looked at me and said to me, "You're too young to be a cynic." And then he gave me a blessing, and I had tears streaming down my eyes, because he had these piercing blue eyes in which I saw an ocean of compassion. And he said to me, "You will grow to be a source of light, inspiration, joy, and nachas to your school," he said first, "your family, the Jewish people, and the entire world." And wow, I mean, giving a 13-year-old, a cynical 13-year-old, a belief in himself that he could have a global impact who speaks to teenagers like that? We treat teenagers like children. And I'm not going to say that I walked out of that 3 minute and 33 second, it was 3 o'clock in the morning. I remember it was 3 minutes, 33 second meeting transformed. I will say that it was one of the highlights of my life that I think about constantly. And then when I became the Rebbe's personal emissary to Oxford, he took a great interest in my work. Because remember, the Rebbe was a product of world famous universities. He went to the Sorbonne, he went to the University of Berlin just before the Holocaust, just before Hitler's rise to power. In fact, after Hitler's rise to power, about 1933. So he really cared about Oxford.
As many of you guys know, I run a free speech podcast. That comes as a price. It's being demonetized everywhere. So one way to support the podcast is to buy your books from AntelopeHillPublishing.com. Today's selection is The Trans Industrial Complex. This book covers the money-making machine of the trans industries and shows it's not to help people, but to make money and get rich. So again, if you want to support the podcast, go to AntelopeHillPublishing.com and be sure to use promo code FIGHTBACK. That'll save you money and support me. Thank you.
But Oxford never had more than between 600 to 1,000 Jewish students any given year. And Chabad now has emissaries at every campus. Back then, there were only maybe 10, 15 campuses. So why Oxford? I mean, why didn't we go to Harvard first, where there were 5,000 Jewish students, NYU, 6,000 Jewish students? And I think it's because the Rebbe understood that Oxford was one of the crossroads of Western intellectual civilization, and that people from there would go on to make a very big impact. Here you are, Jake. You're the editor of the world's oldest English language Jewish newspaper. Some of our students became senators, like Cory Booker, with whom I would have he was my closest friend. We famously had a falling out over his Iran vote in 2015. We could talk about that if you want, but the mayor of Los Angeles, Eric Garcetti, now America's ambassador to India. But for me, most importantly, Israel's Minister of Strategic Affairs, Ron Dermer, who was Israel's ambassador to the United States for 8 years, really like a brother to me till this very day, who's one of the people in the 5-person war cabinet. He was our L'Chaim Society president from 94 to 96. The Rebbe kind of foresaw that a lot of these students would have an outsized impact.
Now, who is Chabad Lubavitch? Well, that's going to be a separate video because that's extremely complex. They're a very strange yet powerful organization with extreme influence. Almost every single American president has met with them, including Donald Trump, Ronald Reagan, Obama, include other world leaders like Vladimir Putin.
In the friendship to the Jewish world of the president of Russia, which is Vladimir Putin. And you have to ask yourselves, why is this so? I heard a great line from a professor of mathematics, Novosibirsk. He told me like this: Putin may not be good for Russia, but he's definitely good for the Jews of Russia. Putin may not be good for Russia, but he's definitely good for the Jews of Russia. Why is he good for the Jews of Russia? Because when Putin was a young child, he lived in an apartment building in St. Petersburg. And he would come home every day from school, and his parents were out working, and in the same entrance, in the same apartment or the adjacent apartment, there lived a religious Hasidic family. And when he would come home, and there was nobody to take care of him, they would do his homework together with him. And he spent his youth growing up basically in the house of an Orthodox Jew. So he feels a tremendous sense of hakaras hatov, of recognition for good to the Jews, and what he got. All his childhood friends were Jews. And I also think he sees the positive effect that they have in building Russia as a new country, the fact what the rabbis do in Russia and the shluchim are doing in Russia.
אנחנו נמצאים כאן, נכנסנו לפה, ולמעשה הכותל, עם הבניינים בתים האלה, משום כל הכותל עד הסוף. הם בנו על קשתות, זאת אומרת כל הרוב הראשוני, כל העיר העתיקה תלויה באוויר.
Argentina. England, pretty much everyone. Their influence seems unmatched.
It's a simple site. We don't have a massive building of steel and bricks and stones and fancy offices. It's a tent. The Hebrew word for it is called ohel. Ohel in the Bible is a gathering place. That's what it is. It's a gathering of souls, a gathering of people who are coming to bear their most personal, precious issues in their personal life. This is the resting place of the Rebbe, but it's beyond the typical place of where someone visits their parents or their loved ones that have deceased. Because he took the Jewish people, after they were decimated by the Holocaust, came to an America that was apathetic and assimilated to traditional Jewish life, and he turned it on its head and he said, we're going to be proud of our faith, but we are going to share the depth, the beauty of our faith with all of mankind.
I came here from Iran 1988, and I came out here. It was a line, big line. We stand in the line in the sun to meet him. Actually, I stand in line twice to see him 2 times. Each time I come here, I still get the chill on my hand and my face. I get emotional when I come here.
Sometimes when you come to the spiritual places, you feel some sort of a connection and your emotion just getting higher, and you come to things that your thoughts and your good things coming from the heart and from the mind, kind of a better connection.
We've come to the Rebbe to, first of all, thank him for all the brachos that he's helped facilitate for us from Hashem, and then to request more blessings for our future marriage.
Welcome to Bangkok, a humid city crammed with 9 million people, speeding tuk-tuks, lively food stalls, and Hasidic Jews walking around offering people to put on tefillin? What are they doing in Bangkok, and in Tokyo, and Lagos, and Novosibirsk, so far from the centers of Hasidic life in Bnei Brak, Jerusalem, or Brooklyn? And why would they put down roots, raise children, and build massive Jewish centers in far-flung countries with few, if any, Jewish residents? To answer this question, we need to go back to Eastern Europe in the 18th century, when a Jewish revival movement known as Hasidic Judaism spread across the region. Hasidic Judaism is made up of different movements, each group following a specific religious leader, or Rebbe. One of these movements was based in the town of Lubavitch in the Russian Empire and came to be known as Chabad Lubavitch, where in the early 1900s, a pair of Chabad Lubavitch Hasidim, Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Schneerson and his wife Chana, were raising their 3 boys. Though the Schneersons were directly descended from the 3rd Chabad Rebbe, they lived far from their Rebbe's court. They did not expect that their oldest son, Menachem Mendel, would become the 7th leader of the Chabad dynasty. Certainly, no one would have dreamed that under his leadership, the Chabad Lubavitch movement would become a global phenomenon, changing Jewish life forever. But even those who know of his striking achievements, the thousands of hours of Torah teaching, the 1994 Congressional Gold Medal, the private counsel he provided to the tens of thousands, including the likes of Bob Dylan, Elie Wiesel, and Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin, might not be aware of the depth of his visionary leadership. Before he became the Rebbe, Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson was a scholar. His brilliance attracted the attention of his distant cousin, the 6th Lubavitcher Rebbe, who eventually became his father-in-law. The 2 men shared a warm relationship. Rabbi Menachem Mendel loved and admired his father-in-law deeply, even as he missed his own father, who died in Soviet exile in Kazakhstan. When he wasn't immersed in Jewish texts, the future Rebbe studied engineering in Berlin under two Nobel Prize winners, Walter Nernst and Erwin Schrödinger. The company he kept in his off hours was no less luminous. Among his friends there was Rabbi Joseph Soloveitchik, a towering figure in modern Orthodox Judaism. The two men, one a Hasid, the other modern Orthodox, maintained their lifelong friendship through the violent upheavals of the 20th century. As the Nazi threat engulfed Europe, Menachem Mendel and his wife Chaya Mushka escaped to the United States by the skin of their teeth. Many others in their family, including Menachem Mendel's brother, weren't so lucky. In America, the couple settled in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, where the sixth Rebbe had established the new Chabad headquarters. It was there that the future Rebbe eventually became his father-in-law's successor. On January 17, 1951, the night he officially assumed leadership of the Chabad movement, the newly minted Rebbe unrolled his vision for world Jewry. The three loves, love of God, love of Torah, and love of one's fellow are one. One cannot differentiate between them, for they are of a single essence. In other words, loving your neighbor is a godly act, the same as loving God. This sounds like a mystical concept, but the Rebbe was a deeply practical thinker, so he included a blueprint for exactly how to put this love into practice. Get out of Crown Heights. Go to where the Jews are. It doesn't matter if they're affiliated or unaffiliated, if they're on college campuses or bustling cities or rural towns. All that matters is that wherever you go, you must ensure that Jewish life can flourish. It's difficult to exaggerate how radical this vision was in 1951. The prevailing wisdom on the importance of communal life had not changed since the 1st century CE, when Hillel the Elder told us in the Mishnah, Al tifrosh min hatzibor, don't separate yourself from the community. In the wake of the Holocaust, who could blame a traumatized community for wanting to band together in a safe location? But the Rebbe, who had lived through pogroms, revolutions, and Nazism, didn't believe in hiding. The Rebbe's vision for Judaism wasn't defined by a mentality of persecution. He believed that the Jewish people boast an ancient heritage worth celebrating publicly. For a man who had escaped some of the 20th century's cruelest moments, he remained remarkably positive and embodied the concept of lechatchila ariber, or leaping over obstacles. He borrowed this precept from the 4th Lubavitcher Rebbe, who believed that if you encounter an obstacle, you shouldn't try to go around it, just jump over and transcend it. Or, in the words of a popular athletic brand, just do it. The Rebbe applied this urgency and positivity to every hurdle that he and his community faced, including the challenge of healing from the most systemized genocide the world had ever seen. Indeed, when a person complained about the hardships of the Jewish people, the Rebbe would counter, "It's good to be a Jew." Despite the hardships involved, he sent his emissaries, or shluchim, to remind Jews all over the world of the power of their heritage. From New York to Nairobi, from Mumbai to Marrakesh, shluchim built Jewish infrastructure. They constructed huge Chanukiot for public candlelightings in thousands of cities worldwide, and rolled through crowded city streets in mitzvah tanks, offering Jews a chance to do a mitzvah on the go. The Rebbe believed that every mitzvah a Jew fulfilled propelled the world and the individual one step closer to healing and spiritual transformation. His shluchim presented Jews from all walks of life the opportunity to put on tefillin, to sit in a sukkah, to shake a lulav, and to learn about lighting Shabbat candles. In the words of the late Rabbi Dr. Jonathan Sachs, the Lubavitcher Rebbe undertook the most daring spiritual initiative ever, to search out every Jew in love as they were once hunted down in hate. The Rebbe believed that this meant every Jew had enormous spiritual potential, regardless of their background or level of observance. Such inclusiveness was absolutely unheard of at the time, including women. The Rebbe was the first major rabbi to foster communal leadership by women. He also personally directed that Chabad's educational materials for children had representation of both boys and girls, ensuring that all children understood that the message being taught was for them. He may not have used the modern phrase, "you can't be what you can't see," but he was certainly aware of the untapped potential of 50% of humanity. His efforts paid off. The Rebbe envisioned his shluchim working together in husband and wife teams to create a safe and welcoming environment for Jews of all stripes. This task could not be accomplished without the female emissaries, shluchot, who provided a model for active, vibrant Jewish womanhood. Today, Chabad has shluchim in over 100 countries. Thousands of Jews, many non-observant, flock to the Chabad Passover Seders in Thailand each year. A Pew survey conducted in 2021 reported that 1 in 5 American Jews participated in Chabad services or activities in 2020. Yet, even as Chabad centers blossom all over the world, the beating heart of the movement remained in Crown Heights. It was there that the Rebbe held private audiences with a wide variety of visitors, from ordinary members of his community to heads of state from all over the world. And it was there that he published thousands of pages of commentary on Torah and other Jewish texts, a massive body of work that continues to illuminate new insights for Jews of all backgrounds. The genius of the Rebbe's scholarship and vision for society was recognized far beyond the Jewish community. President Jimmy Carter dedicated 1977 as the Year of Education in the Rebbe's honor, celebrating the first Education Day USA on the Rebbe's 75th birthday. Each American president since has marked Education and Sharing Day on the Rebbe's birthday.
This organization is so powerful that Jared Kushner and Ivanka Kushner went and visited the head rabbi's grave before and after Trump was elected to pray. Javier Milei did the same thing. Also, Trump was forced to go to his grave with Ben Shapiro and go pray before his grave. This is a man who believes that Jewish souls are divine and born in heaven, and that non-Jewish souls are unholy and worthless.
Argentina's President-elect Milei's conversion to Judaism and his prayer to a dead Kabbalah rabbi for making him the new president of Argentina. This happened yesterday. The story broke yesterday. About the same time we were streaming True News at noontime, so we were unable to have this yesterday as it occurred. This is Ynet News from Israel. Argentine President-elect Javier Milei makes surprise visit to Lubavitcher grave in New York City. Doc, it's so surreal. He's like, this really can't be happening.
Well, it's happening, Rick.
It's happening.
And this wasn't his first visit either, Rick. This was his third visit to the rabbi's grave. A surprising guest arrived on Monday morning to pray at the grave of the Lubavitcher rabbi in the cemetery in Queens, Javier Milei, the newly minted president-elect of Argentina. And this marks Milei's first visit outside the South American country after his election triumph. And it is receiving unprecedented coverage in local media, which are attempting to uncover and trace the figure of the Lubavitcher rabbi, the leader of the Chabad Hasidic movement.
All right, Doc, let's stop right there. So Milei recently won the election for president of Argentina. He's not been sworn in yet.
Right.
He's still president-elect. But his very first trip as president-elect was to fly to New York City and go to a cemetery, to a grave that contains the corpse of an old dead Kabbalah wizard.
Yes.
And pray to him.
You got it.
And thank him for giving him an election victory in Argentina. That's the purpose of going there, to thank the dead Kabbalah wizard for throwing the election his way.
Yes.
Now, who else has done this? Well, I can tell you, I know of a very prominent family, the Trumps.
Yes.
Because in early November, the weekend before the November 2016 election, Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump went to the same gravesite and prayed to the same dead Kabbalah wizard and asked him to throw the election to their father and father-in-law,
right,
Donald Trump. And they I'm talking about Jared Kushner and Ivanka. And after the election, they reportedly told friends that the dead Kabbalah wizard's power is what elected Donald Trump as president.
And let me also give a very special thanks to someone who truly loves Israel. In fact, loves it so much that my daughter converted. My daughter converted. And Bibi, you do know this was not in the cards for me. You understand that. And she is so happy, and they are so happy. At least I think they're happy. If they're not, we have a big story, right?
Rabbi Shmuley and his family have been accused of many shady things, including arms dealing, money laundering, and even war crimes. He had a nephew who was so famous of an arms dealer that made a movie about him called War Dog.
There's a lot more stuff going on behind the scenes than people think, and usually with the consent of the major powers involved. When we started winning big contracts, that's when I really started feeling like we were treading in deep waters. I feel like I got incredibly lucky. I went through a crazy experience and I managed to avoid getting killed and I managed to avoid doing prison time, and for that I am eternally grateful. And I got a really cool movie made about my life, and how many people can say that, right?
Rabbi Shmuley befriended Michael Jackson when he was at his lowest, but he wasn't really there to be a friend. He was there to use him and leech off him. He was even accused of stealing $250,000 from his charity that was there to help children. Michael Jackson put Rabbi Shmuley on his enemy list and believed he was there to destroy his life. After Michael Jackson died, Rabbi Shmuley released all their private conversations, likely selling him to make a profit.
And I'm going to say something, I've never said it before. And this is the truth, Shmuley. I have no reason to lie to you, and God knows I'm telling you the truth. I think all my success and fame, and I've wanted it. I wanted it. Because I wanted to be loved, that's all. That's the real truth. I wanted people to truly love me, because I never really felt love. I wanted to become such a wonderful performer that I would get love back. And I was hoping I could get love from other people. If I sharpen my craft, maybe people will love me more. I needed someone. That's probably why I had the mannequins, because I felt I needed people, someone, and I was too shy to be around real people. I love them. It's like real babies and kids and people. It makes me feel like I'm in a room with people.
So you thought if you became a great star, very successful, and loved by the world, your father would love you too?
Mm-hmm.
So you could change him that way?
Mm-hmm. I was hoping I could. And I was hoping I could get love from other people, because I needed it real bad, you know. If there was a children today, when I was little, and I looked at my father and say, okay, Daddy, Joseph, what are we going to do today? You know what that would have meant to me? You go, well, you want to go to the movies? That's great. That would have meant so much to me, Shmuley. He was rough. The way he would beat you was, was hard, Sometimes he'd take, he'd make you strip nude first. He would oil you down. Your whole ritual, he would oil you down. So when the flip of the ironing cord hit you, it would just, and it was just like me dying, and your foot's all over your face, your back, everywhere. And I always hear my mother back, no, Joe, you're gonna kill him, no. You know, like, I was like, obviously I would just give up. Like, there was nothing I can do, you know. And I hated him for it. Hated him. And you'd look in the audience, he'd make a face like this. You'd go, oh, I can't mess up, he's gonna kill us. It would just scare the bejesus out of you. And he'd be like, everybody's clapping you like looking at you hard, like, don't you mess up, you know, and I'm like, oh God, I'm in trouble after the show. We'd hear his car coming down the drive. We always drove this big Mercedes, and he drives real slow. Joseph home, quick! Boom, door slam, everybody runs to their room. Like, there's sometimes I'd be in bed at night sleeping, it's 12 at night, the door's locked. So I'm giving you 5 seconds, you know, open, I'm gonna kick it down. And he starts kicking it. Boom, kick it, like breaking the door down. Why do you sign that contract today? I go, I don't know. He goes, well, sign it. If you don't sign it, you're in trouble.
So you would sign?
I had to. He was very physical. He'd throw you and hit you hard as he can.
Did you begin to feel that you were like a money-making machine for him?
Yeah. I'll never forget one day he said, you guys ever stop thinking I'll drop you like a hot potato. That's what he said. It hurt me. You don't say that to children. And I never forgot it. We used to say to our mother, we'd say to each other, and I'll never forget this, Janet and myself, I would say, Janet, shut your eyes. She'd go, okay, they're shut. I said, picture Joseph in a coffin, he's dead. Did you feel sorry? She would go, no. That's what we would do to each other as kids. We would like play games like that. She'd go, nope, just like that. And that's how hateful we were. I go, he's in the coffin, he's dead. Would you feel sad? Are you cold? She goes, nope, just like that. You know? That's how angry we were with him. And I love him today, but he was hard.
Hey guys, I'm demonetized everywhere. So if you want to support me and the podcast, go to fightbackpodcast.com and you can buy some cool merch, like the shirt I'm wearing now. Rabbi Shmuley also has a sex toy company called Kosher Sex, but it gets much weirder. He runs the company with his own daughters. Now, to me, the idea of selling dildos and sex toys with my daughter is absolutely disgusting and vile, and I think most Gentiles feel this way.
Center of Jerusalem, Kosher Sex Store. This is where the action is, quite literally.
Made in Israel.
Tell us about the oils, because this is the first product that we've labeled with Kosher Sex,
Our
and
first
it's made
Kosher
in
Sex
Israel.
product, so special. No, so these are actually hemp seed infused. So there's one for men and one for women, but these are like very elevating, arousing lubricants. But they do take, and one's a delay spray for men, but they do take like 5-10 minutes to be absorbed. But that's the whole point, that couples, they have like 5-10 minutes to not just rush into things and just enjoy each other and be playful and take their time.
I love that. I love it. Well, good things come to those who wait, right?
Yes, exactly. Especially when it comes to intimacy, that's for sure. But yeah, made in Israel, and we're doing a special discount code. Yes. With a you get 10% off with a Kosher Sex discount, right? Kosher Sex at checkout, and then there's free shipping within the US, but not in Israel. Sorry, you can get them. You can go to the shop and get them here. But
wait, what's the discount code again? My daughter has to remember. You got to say something 3 times for the person to remember.
Kosher Sex.
What is it? With a space?
Sex. No, just Kosher Sex.
Okay.
The website is kosher.sexno.com. But yes, elevate
kosher.sex
your
is the
relationship,
website.
invest in your relationship, and also support Israeli business.
Okay, now hang on a second.
Yeah.
All of the anti-Semites have attacked us over Kosher Sex, and our response is make love and war. We're going to destroy the anti-Semites because they are a menace to humanity. They hate God, they hate God's children. And the Jewish people, as the nation of God's choosing to promote God's love to all of humanity, they hate us.
Yeah.
We don't back down. We love the idea of make love and war. Israel will destroy.
They don't faze me at all. I know that what I'm doing is it's so helpful to couples. I get people in here thanking me and telling me that some of these products have saved their marriages. Saved a marriage.
So what happened to the mojab? Listen, all the anti-Semites need a mojab, like the Mohammedan job, and that mojab may somehow purge them.
Okay, well, we'll
of
give you a
their
mojab
disgusting
discount as well.
Can we do hashtag mojab?
MOJOB, not hashtag, just MOJOB,
Mojab.
or Kosher Sex at checkout at kosher.sex.
Mojab was in London the other day in a Jewish neighborhood, menacing the Jewish people there. Mojab, listen to me, man. If you had your own Mojab, you wouldn't hate Jews so much.
They all need to get laid, these anti-Semites.
Okay, I'm going to use different language.
Sorry, yeah, they do.
And let me finally say, I'm the author. Give me my book that I authored. I am the author of Kosher Sex, which is why it's on
This is the original
Oh my God, it's
Kosher
amazing.
Sex copy.
That's 25 years old.
I found this, yeah.
And I love that because it's based
This
on
is our logo.
Genesis.
This is what we made the logo.
Well, it's two becoming one.
Yeah.
Therefore shall a man, Genesis 2:24, therefore shall a man leave his father, leave his mother, he shall cleave unto his wife, they shall become one flesh, they shall become one giant tree with fruit-bearing trees. But the reason, and I always love that, so thank you for having that. But Chana, there's two reasons why you named it Kosher Sex. First of all, because your father authored the book, right? And secondly, because
I based all company
because 5'5" and hairy is the new masculinity of par excellence. Okay?
Back in its place.
All you anti-Semites, Mojab discount, remember? And for all the people who love life and love marriage and love children, and I am a child of divorce, I want to see people married. Kosher sex is the only way to go. May all your sex be kosher sex. God bless you guys.
Rabbi Shmuley is so disliked that the Jewish owner of the Fountaine Blue in Miami is suing him for false allegations of anti-Semitism.
Fountain Blue Hotel taking legal action against a prominent rabbi. This after he claimed he was subjected to a verbal tirade in the lobby, which he recorded. Local 10's Rosh Lowe is joining us live from Miami Beach with an update on this exclusive story. Rosh.
All right, Louis, in this corner you have the Fountain Blue, a famous hotel, saying this rabbi is trying to shake them down. In this corner you have the rabbi who says he was a victim of an anti-Semitic attack. And now you have one big legal fight. So the Fountain Blue says you're trying to shake them down.
You know, that's exactly what Jews have been accused of. It's almost as if the lawsuit was plagiarized from the Protocols of the Elders of Zion.
It's the Fountain Blue, owned by Jeffrey Sofer, who is Jewish, versus Boteach. Rabbi Shmuley Boteach says he was the victim of a violent anti-Semitic verbal attack.
Kill babies, man.
He is known as America's most famous rabbi. Even during our interview, someone stopped who knew him.
For Pesach, I heard your speech.
Thank you very much. Thank you. You know, so many Jews.
They call you the America's most famous rabbi?
I am. Well, Washington Post and Newsweek, others say I'm America's most famous rabbi.
But it was this encounter in the lobby that went viral. What followed was a social media campaign. The Fountain Blue says in a just-filed lawsuit that Boteach tried to shake down the hotel by creating AI videos purporting to show them celebrating anti-Semitism.
I will say on the record right now, I am prepared to settle for nothing, not a penny, zero, nothing, if they apologize for what happened and if they promise to retrain the security.
Let's get back to the lawsuit. The hotel says Boteach insisted that he would only settle if the Fountain Blue paid $1 million to his charitable organization without any transparent explanation as to the use of those funds.
To all the people of Fountain Blue, where is the surveillance footage? You're saying it was all made up? Why won't you release the surveillance footage?
Boteach had a similar incident in 2003. The hotel claims defendant Boteach omits that he also demanded personal lifetime access to the swimming pool and gym at the hotel, the same place he says is unsafe. Ultimately, defendant Boteach accepted a free dinner at the hotel and moved on.
And they said that I settled for a steak dinner. Did you see that? I mean, it's an SNL skit. The rabbi is sitting with his yarmulke in the Fountain Blue, slurping down escargot and having a ham sandwich.
Boy, this is interesting. So Boteach says, listen, he originally said he wanted $100 million, but now he says, I don't want anything. I don't want a penny. I just want the Fountain Blue to apologize. On the flip side, the Fountain Blue says they've done absolutely nothing wrong. In fact, just the opposite. So we'll keep you posted as this goes throughout the court system.
Recently, Rabbi Shmuley jumped back into the limelight with his feud with Candace Owens. Now, it originally started over the genocide happening in Gaza, but it got a lot worse when Candace Owens liked a tweet that said, "Are you drunk on Christian blood again?" talking about Rabbi Shmuley. Now, this tweet was made by my retarded producer, Ron, who's filming right now.
A tweet that I had liked of someone defending me when Rabbi Shmuley was smearing me. He dug up an old tweet of mine that was from February, tried to present it as if it was something new and something that was about him before our back and forth ever even broke out. And so I liked the tweet because it clarified the right date of the tweet, saying that, Rabbi Shmuley, this tweet is obviously from February 20th. What are you, drunk on Christian blood? Didn't even pay attention to the last part of the tweet. I just obviously liked that this person was calling out this BS smearing tactic. Little did I know that Isaac Shore and a team of journalists are now monitoring every single like of mine on Twitter.
After that tweet, Rabbi Shmuley freaked out and pushed for Candace Owens to be fired. The Daily Wire did. They likely would have fired her anyways because they're an Israeli first organization.
We're turning our attention now to a major feud that put an end to Candace Owens' platform on the Daily Wire. The conservative commentator is out after an ongoing beef with her boss, Ben Shapiro, over the Israel-Hamas war. Candace Owens confirming the news. The rumors are true. I am finally free.
It's not that I'm saying things that they don't like, it's that I'm refusing to allow my voice to be controlled.
In her last segment, which premiered Tuesday, Candace Owens made it clear why she felt she was being ostracized.
That if you do not step out and say things that are radically pro-Israel, or if you are too quiet on certain narratives and they want you to be radically pro-Israel, you can lose everything.
In the past, Ben Shapiro had come to the defense of Owens and her rhetoric. He's the Jewish co-founder of the news site Daily Wire, aka Candace's boss. Well, that friendship all changed following the October 7th Hamas-led attack on Israel. It quickly turned into a very public battle between the two.
It makes me cry when I see the footage all over Twitter of Palestinian children that are being bombed into oblivion, when I see they're missing parts of their body. And this implicit threat, don't say it's sad, you're not allowed to say it's sad. It is sad.
Owens has been one of the few far-right pundits who has been openly critical of Israel's handling of the war in Gaza. Critics of Owens say that she has spread anti-Semitism.
I set out in this video to discover who Rabbi Shmuley is and why he's so powerful. Unfortunately, I'm left now more confused than ever. Like I said, he's tied in with all the world leaders, Netanyahu, guys like RFK, the Dalai Lama. They all come to him, people like Michael Jackson, they go to him to repent, get forgiveness. Like I said, the point of this video is to try to figure out where his power comes from, and I was unable to do that, but it's clearly that he has some very powerful connections. Being appointed head rabbi at Oxford University at 22 years old, him being tightly connected to Chabad Lubavitch, meeting with all these world leaders, connections to arms dealing, tax fraud, but yet never going to jail. But he acts like a complete clown, strung out in drugs, but yet all these powerful people come and meet with him. And I don't know the answer to it. Is he connected high up with the mafia? Potentially, but I don't know. As many of you know, I have many controversial guests, so that comes at a cost of being demonetized everywhere. So if you want to support the program, go to fightbackpodcast.com, and I have all kinds of merch on there, whether it's jiu-jitsu, fighting, political, and other accessories. And thanks for the support.